Well, hello everybody and welcome to Big Sky Sounds. I'm Ann Harrigan, music director of the Billings Symphony, and I'm here today with my guest artist, William Hagen, who's going to be playing the Korngold Violin Concerto. I am so thrilled to see you. We just met 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. So this is a chance when you and I get to know each other, and our audiences, both in the community and also at the concert on Saturday, will get to know you at the same time. So
Yes. Yeah.
welcome to Billings, but you're not a stranger to Montana.
No, I've been to Montana quite a bit, particularly over the last few years. I love Montana. I'm a huge nature nut, and so Montana was a place I always wanted to go to, and now that I've gotten to come up here more consistently, I'm loving it. I mean, unfortunately, this is a short trip, and I'm not going to be able to go out fly fishing or anything like that. But it's always great to be back.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, I'd heard about you from Corby Skinner, who did say that you loved Montana, so I'm very happy to have you here and sharing one of my favorite violin concertos, to tell you the truth, the Korngold, and it requires a certain kind of player, which you clearly are, you know, to have the forces there. Talk a little bit about the Korngold Violin Concerto. You've played it a lot. Probably because you play it so well, everybody keeps asking for it.
Well, there's a video of me online playing it, and that's generally, it's funny, early in my career there was a video of me playing Tchaikovsky Concerto, and so I played Tchaikovsky all the time.
Right.
And now there's a video of me playing Korngold, so I play Korngold all the time. But I'm not complaining because I absolutely love the piece. It's just gorgeous. It was a piece I actually had to come around on.
I believe it.
So the video out there on YouTube, that performance, I had to learn the piece for it. And
Nice.
I was kind of dragging my feet, and then I got into actually learning it and went, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? This is the greatest. So just a kind of a brief description of the piece. Korngold is kind of the father of the Hollywood sound. And that classic stereotypical movie sound that we hear is really more of a Central European sound, which is where Korngold's from. That Austrian sound, kind of like Strauss. Anyway, and the violin concerto, Korngold became this big time film composer, and the violin concerto was written right after World War II, and it was the concerto is made up of themes. He'll take a theme from this movie, a theme from this movie, a theme from this movie, and that becomes the basis for the first movement, second movement, third movement. So everything that you're hearing in the concerto is a movie theme. But what's interesting, I did kind of a deep dive. You know how you can look up these trailers, the movies. I didn't watch the whole movie.
I do know, yes.
And the trailer back then was like 8 minutes long, and you hear the entire score of the movie over the course of the trailer.
Yes.
And it was really fascinating listening to it, and like the slow, beautiful theme that you hear is like this triumphant, fast theme. So he's basically just slowed down the theme and changed. So he's basically changed the adjective of the theme. So, and you know, some of them remain consistent. But anyway, I'm dragging on here. It's a movie concerto. It's made up of these, you know, total earworm, beautiful themes.
Earworms, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so listenable, so beautiful, and so cinematic soundscapes. And I've really fallen in love with playing it.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. So, well, I kind of wonder, were you in Germany at the time when you did this? Because you've been in Germany quite a bit.
Yeah.
So do you think they looked at you and said, American violinist, American concerto? What was, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Usually you think of the Barber as the quintessentially American concerto.
Exactly.
The Korngold, of course, is also an American concerto written in L.A., but Korngold's background was so European and everything. But I don't know. Maybe they said, yeah, this American guy from Utah, let's have him play
Korngold, right?
Korngold, yeah.
Well, so for our audiences, let's back up a little bit and talk about not only the story of Eric Korngold, but also really the impetus for this whole concert. Well, let's be honest. The impetus for this concert is I discovered you, and I heard your Korngold on the video. I said, okay, I've got to do that, because not just because I saw the video, but because I have performed the Korngold before, and I know what it takes.
Yeah.
And I knew you had what it takes to really hold your own against the orchestra because it is such a beast for the violin. And so basically what I did is I built a concert around you.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
I didn't know that. I thought that I was
Oh, no.
sprinkling on top of the already formulated. Wow,
We're
thank
the
you.
other way around. But I also have this
Flattered.
fascination with the whole Entartete Kunst thing that, and I'll talk about that for a second. So sometimes I have this dark humor that, you know, we have Hitler to thank for the the Hollywood movie sound. It's true, but it's also very sad because basically Hollywood was populated, and Broadway for that matter, with German and Viennese Jewish people who were fleeing, you know, Europe because of everything that was going on there. And this really started with Max Steiner even before Korngold. You know, he came over earlier, but when Korngold came over, you know, he had been brought over by some producers and directors who were trying to get Jewish people out of Germany because some people could see what was happening and some people were having a hard time leaving, of course, you know. And so, hey, come to Hollywood, come do these gigs, it'll be fun. And so the first time Korngold came over, it was just for a gig. He was an opera composer in Vienna. His father was an incredibly famous music critic who probably wasn't so crazy about his movie music writing, which is unfortunate because it was great. But so he was going back and forth, and on one of his trips in 1938, that's when the Anschluss, when the Nazis took over Vienna, happened, and Korngold, everything he had at home was confiscated, and he couldn't go home. Wow. And here he was in Hollywood. And so, but the interesting thing, so there's a whole story behind that, and that he and Max Steiner impacted so many movie music composers with, like you say, that European sound. And if you listen to Gone with the Wind, if you listen to Casablanca, which we're going to be playing, which is very emotional. You know, Casablanca was written in 1942. It was started 2 months after the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor.
Oh my gosh.
They were writing it furiously because they really wanted to comment upon and to some extent propagandize the war, you know, and so there's a lot of emotion. When Korngold's writing this, there's this longing. The other thing is Korngold refused to write any classical music while the Nazis were in power. He didn't write a single note, and then the first thing he wrote was a concerto. You know, and so he'd been saving up all this time from 1938 until the concerto was written in
46, 45?
45, yes. So all
Wow.
that time he was kind of hanging on to it. And one of the things is a question is the chicken or the egg question, because he had themes from before 1938, before he came to Hollywood. He kept a notebook. And so some of those themes are actually written down before. So did he write down his themes and then do the movie and then do the violin concerto, or did he do the movie and the violin concerto? But there's no question, like you say, I've found those old trailers too. They're amazing. In fact, I go to the old trailers to get the feel and the tempo because they're there, right?
Yeah.
This is like historical documentation, so it's really cool. I'm glad you've kind of gotten into that and appreciate it as much as I do. And so, so for us, the whole concert is built on that. The whole concert is built on Korngold. Korngold being the unappreciated, undiscovered composer who was considered to have sold out to the movie industry. And so we kind of go in this whole rabbit hole. I could have gone farther, but we definitely have Max Steiner with Casablanca, starting with that, who also wrote the Warner Brothers fanfare.
Oh, okay.
And then we go from that actually straight to Bernard Herrmann's Cycle, which is awesome.
Herman's a great composer. I've played some of his stuff too, and it's just gorgeous music. Just the concert music.
Yes,
is great.
no. Well,
yeah.
Again, this is kind of the point. He was a serious composer, whether he was writing for movies or the concert. He conducted dozens of world premieres, and when he wrote, he wanted to be very contemporary. You know. But then it gets really interesting because you look at The Night Before Christmas, Danny Elfman. Who's his influence? Bernard Herrmann. And so there's this whole 6 degrees of separation that really all comes with, you know, this, again, Austrian, German, Jewish orchestral sound. Look at John Williams. Look at Howard Shore. Look at all the composers on our second half. We're doing music from Avatar, We're doing music from Lord of the Rings. It all comes from Eric Korngold.
Yeah.
You know, it really does.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's really cool. So you have a violin with you, which is really exciting. And tell us about your violin.
So this violin is not mine. I get to use it due to the generosity of the Rachel Barton Pine Foundation. Rachel Barton Pine is probably smashed the mic there. Rachel Barton Pine is a fabulous violinist herself, and we have the same manager. And we met through there, and she said, you know, my foundation has this Strad, would you want to try it? I said, yes. I was playing on a great violin at the time, so, you know, I was already totally spoiled playing on really a great Del Gesù, a Guarneri violin. But anyway, I tried the violin and fell in love with it, and I've had it for years now. And yeah, it's a Strad, sorry, I should have said. It's a Stradivarius from 1732. Strad was an incredibly long-lived man, so he would have been in his late 80s or early 90s when he made this.
Fascinating.
Which is kind of cool, and I don't know if I can hold it up. You can see, do you see how this F-hole over here is a little bit scawampus from this one?
I do see that.
You know, I like to think that the old man, you know, might have lost a little bit of finesse, but everything's there. And it's just a fabulous sounding violin, and I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, should I play something?
Please.
Maybe a little bit of solo Bach.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
I'm going to stay seated because... This is going to be the Preludio from the E major partita. Bach wrote all 6 of the violin suites in a single sitting, and legend has it that he wrote it right after finding out about his wife's death. So the first 4 suites are just the saddest music ever. And then the 5th, which is it goes partita, or sonata partita, and then in that 5th suite, the 3rd sonata, halfway through, things start to get a little bit more cheerful. And then we arrive at this. This is the first movement of the final partita, which is all of a sudden in a major key. Well, the sonata's in a major key too, but it's kind of a almost happy major key. This is a happy major key. Anyway.
Wow, that is drop dead gorgeous. Audiences, I have to tell you that he brought the violin because he can't leave it in the hotel. I was like, hey, you've got it. Thank you so much for doing that. Boy, the colors and the phrasing, they're just incredible.
Thank you.
So can't wait for tonight's rehearsal.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so this is because we're recording this on Thursday, so you just got in last night, so that's exciting. Well, can't wait to hear what you do with all the colors in the corn gold. I know I already have my spies in Michigan. I heard you play the corn gold last week, and they talked about how amazing your colors were. So,
oh my gosh,
talk about that. You've obviously listening to the Bach and hearing what you say. You think about colors on the violin a lot. How do you make that happen? What are the different things you can do to vary the sound on the violin?
So I got really into teaching over the pandemic. When the concerts got canceled,
Nice,
I started to teach, and so I've gotten used to putting into words what I'm thinking about, and actually it's helped me kind of crystallize what I really strive for. We play music without words, which is awesome. It's music without words. I think it's not to compare and say this is better than that, but I think there's a real advantage to music without words because the listener just gets pure emotion, pure adjectives, and doesn't have to clumsily find the words in English or French or whatever language it is. It could be, it really is kind of a universal language. But I think I'm always trying to play with an adjective, always trying to play with an emotion. So that piece I just played, it sounds fast, but it's actually slow music. In terms of the, this... It's just chord, 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 and those chords are happening slowly. The filler notes are fast, but there's not a whole lot of...
There's this whole line that's happening, this song, it's
so that's
different layers.
It's kind of almost, I don't know if somebody could, that would be a good piece to, have a river in mind for. I just now thinking, I've never thought of it in terms of water, but something about fast flowing with a slow overall trajectory.
So you think of your colors, you probably think technically as well, but you think actually in terms of a mood or a picture.
Yeah, no, I don't usually have that. I just mentioned a river. I usually am very reactive. I played that piece a million times, and I like to think that I switch it up a bit every time.
Yeah.
Just because you can't be stagnant. But as far as how to create color and everything, it just comes back to how would you sing it. And I want this to be an extension of my voice. If I tried to sing the Corn Gold, then we would sell no tickets, or if we did, then we would have to refund the tickets. So I'm trying to have it be my much improved singing voice. And so would I vibrate that note?
Okay.
Would I not vibrate
I have to stop, and I'm so sorry because this is so great. Because you and I are going to keep talking. But for audiences, you'd better come on Saturday because this is going to be amazing. And for those of you who are there, you're going to have a treat. I'm Ann Harrigan, and this is Big Sky Sounds. Thank you so much, William.